Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to JOECMDRAWZ. Welcome back to a new video. In this new video, I'm going to be sharing my creative process and the final member of the Goldilock Pirates, Tweal the Tiny Terror. Let's get into it. Okay, hello everyone. It's been a while since I've done one of these main channel videos. Been doing shorts for quite a while, but I digress. So to get into it here, these are some of the original sketches that I had done quite a while ago now for Tweal. I didn't really know where it was going with it or what I wanted to do with it. All I knew what I wanted to do is to design a Tontata. I think that not many pirate crews even really have any Tontatas in the One Piece universe. I'm sure there are some, but I don't think there actually is any Tontata that are part of crews outside of, like the Dressrosa arc where they were all kind of like shown off. But yeah, I just kind of started with some basic proportions up here. The basic proportions for Tontatas are large heads, small, like tiny bodies, and then they all have like these weird little like bushy tails. Some of them are like bushier, kind of like these kind of tails. Some of them are a little bit more kind of like fluffy. And then obviously some of those Tontata that had eaten devil fruits have their kind of like tails changed to kind of like stingers, kind of like that Tontata. I can't remember what her name is, but I think she ate the BB fruit, I believe, and her kind of like little tail turned into a bee abdomen. But these are just some of the earliest sketches. I knew I kind of wanted Tweal to have kind of like a larger than life kind of like personality, very arrogant but also kind of adventurous and ready to jump into any kind of conflict and show what he's made of. So some of these are kind of like have him jumping around or him swinging off kind of like a little bit of rope. I also really didn't know what kind of like costume or kind of like clothes that Tweal would wear. I did use some images from the Dressrosa arc and some of the official kind of One Piece concept art pages to try and figure out what I wanted, but I thought maybe a simpler look for Tweal would be quite nice, maybe kind of like a pirate's bandana, a simple kind of like shirt, and some of the, like the big shoes that the Tontata wear. So that's what some of these. I really like the energy that some of these sketches actually have. Shows off his kind of like cheeky personality with his little smile here. One down here, I was messing with different types of hairstyles. Thinking, oh, maybe you could have some long kind of like bushy hair, maybe you could have a little coat. Here I wasn't really too sure of how to actually draw the Tontata proportions. That's one thing I found that's like really difficult. Trying to get those proportions. It's a lot more difficult than you might actually think. But down here is some of the sketches that I was getting closer to what I wanted. That kind of cheeky personality, his little circle eyes, his pointed nose. I thought maybe instead of like the usual Tontata kind of like pointy nose, you could have like a curved one. Because there are some Tontata that don't actually have that nose. Their designs are very similar but can vary. To here, I thought maybe you could have some like bushy hair that's hidden under a pirate's bandana with some like red dots on it. Very mischievous, more, kind of like a fantasy fairy or kind of those mischievous little elves that's kind of the energy that was going for in these kind of like early sketches. So if I just move on to some more advanced sketches now, this is the one that you guys had saw in that post that I made quite a while ago. And a lot of you seem to really like that, but I just wanted to test the water, see what I could do with it, develop my ideas a little bit more. And here's, in some of these you can see I'm getting that kind of like that cheeky personality coming through. Him running away, or him like getting hit with like an attack, or him kind of like being very cheeky. I think this is my favorite one of these sketches here. It just kind of like captures that energy that Tweal has. He's cheeky. He's ready to kind of like make some snark remark or snide comment to somebody that's probably making fun of him for his small size or stature. I imagine that not a lot of One Piece characters or characters in the One Piece universe itself have actually interacted or even seen a Tontata at all. So for them to like get absolutely like blasted in the face and not know why, and then see this tiny little guy running around. I think it would be pretty funny. I do know in the Dressrosa arc that a lot of them had like these little spears, so that's kind of like what I was gonna give him. Here, I changed his outfit a little bit from the initial sketches. I was thinking maybe he could wear some like little overalls with like little black boots, and you know, kind of get that nice red and blue contrast with some like, I don't know, like gingery hair and like a chestnutty coloured kind of like bushy tail. Here I kind of changed the design of the tail here to be a little bit more bushy. Which I actually do kind of like, but you know, this is what exploration, you know, in your sketches are for. Here I thought maybe you could do with like a different kind of like type of hair, maybe a little bit more spiky, a little bit more flowy. I change it from this poofy little bit that's sticking out the top, which I actually quite like, to this, you know, like these kind of little bangs. Changed his nose up here, which I think is a little bit cool and a little bit more Tontata-esque. Here I tried to kind of figure out, well, what would he look like if he was quite angry? And it was kind of difficult to try and even figure out what kind of like head shape to do for Tweal. It was a little bit difficult because all the Tontata proportions are a little bit weird. You know, they have these large heads, and some of them have like quite manly chins and eyebrows, and some of them are very round and soft, and some of them have like a little bit more of a like an eggy shape head, kind of like in this here. So those are kind of like my initial sketches and more of my developed designs. I just wanted to bring this up and showcase these, you know, always showcase all of your initial designs because people can see where you've come from. Next, I think I'll show you kind of like what I did to develop it, because I left it for quite a while. Because I was getting kind of frustrated with it, to be honest. I couldn't capture what I was trying to capture, trying to get out of my head and onto the page. So I'll show you guys that next. Okay, so as you can see, here is some more sketches. Leaving it for a while was actually quite beneficial. It allowed me to kind of like take what I'd learned, let it rest for a while, and then come back to it with a fresh perspective. And these are some of the more developed sketches. As you can see, the proportions are much closer to actual Tontata proportions. If I just hide this for a minute, here's the kind of like main reference that I actually had. It's just an image pulled from Google. Whoops. As you can see, they all vary in like size and shape. You know, some of the more feminine ones here have these kind of designs. Some of them, like this guy, this guy's wacky. Some of them even have like short beards, like mustaches. Some have varied hair, like Leo here. He has very long hair. I was using Leo as like my main reference. Some of them even have tattoos, like this guy. You know, very masculine, kind of very bumpy, kind of more man type face. Some of them, like this guy, that's very classic with the pointed nose. Some of them have these kind of like large, kind of like normal looking noses. So the designs actually vary a lot. A lot of them actually wear a lot of hats. Some of them, like this guy, looks really interesting. You know, so the designs are really varied, but obviously have the similar traits like I was talking about earlier. You know, all of them have these tiny limbs with little boots and these tiny bodies with large heads and the pointed noses. Some of them have some different noses and different eyes. That guy has more like triangular eyes, and this guy is circular. So they're all varied. Some of them have larger pupils, some of them have tinier pupils. It's really interesting when you try and get into like the design aspects of a Tontata. But yeah, that was like the original idea, and as you can see, it's not as close to the actual Tontata proportions that I wanted. You know, these designs aren't as close to these actual real designs, so I wanted to take what I've got here and actually expand on it. So like I said just a few seconds ago, these are way closer to where I was wanting. You know, I've got the little boots, I've got the kind of like bushy tail. He was playing around with maybe they could have some sort of like hornet devil fruit or something to try and keep the insect theme. You know, I was playing around with hairstyles, a lot more curly. You know, I have bits kind of coming up from the bandana. Maybe I could give them like little aviating goggles. You know, I'm trying to figure out the pose as well, kind of like how I wanted him to stand. You know, which is quite interesting. I've got these designs where I was again trying to go wild with it. Maybe you could have like this really bushy tail, kind of almost like a big bush, and maybe you could like bounce on that, whatever. Here I was trying to play around with some different type of hair as well, but it didn't really work out, and trying to change the bandana as well. But it really didn't work out. Here I was playing around with kind of like different colours here, trying to figure out kind of where I wanted to go. Again, using that main Tontada image from Google to try and figure out kind of like the colour scheme. But yeah, those are just some extra developed designs for Tweal. I mean, I don't know, do you like the original, or, do you like the newer ones? But yeah, let me see what else I've got here. These are some of my earliest inking ideas. As you can see, the designs changed dramatically. If I just had this other one, yeah, this was kind of like the main idea. I kind of added some extra bits in that I didn't add for the developed design. So like this little vest, I think also fit kind of nicely. The little boots down here. I also really liked this look for him. It looked quite powerful, quite striking. And then I added this one as well, which I think also really looked nice. I wanted to add a hat in. Because I felt like a lot of them have a lot of hats, and I think it felt his fit his character quite well. But that's like some of my earliest inking designs. But for now, what I think I'll do is I'll show you guys my inking process for the final artwork, and then I'll show that at the end. And I'll tell you Tweal's backstory. I think it's interesting. So as you can see, I've started my inking here. I'm inking this design with the kind of like cap hat. At this point, it's still got the spots on it. And this is the one I've chosen to go with. But Tweal's backstory. So Tweal is pretty much just your everyday run-of-the-mill Tontada. There was nothing really interesting about him, except for obviously when Doflamingo kidnapped all of the Tontada and shipped them basically as slaves off to Dressrosa, and Tweal was one of those slaves, along with all the other ones that were captured, shipped off to Dressrosa, like Leo. And now, there's nothing much he could do. He tried several times to escape the country and make it back to their own country, but he was captured every time and severely beaten for his disobedience. He was very lucky not to be killed. Nothing really actually happened or got done until the Straw Hats came to Dressrosa. Now, of course, they shook everything up, and Luffy started fighting. Luffy and his crew started fighting Doflamingo and his crew, and obviously they enlisted the help of with the Tontatas, with Usopp and stuff. And so, Tweal got in on the action and started fighting the Doflamingo pirates. And he was very, eager to fight. A lot of the Tontatas had their little spears. And so he took part in the major battle, fighting against Doflamingo and his crew. And he actually really helped. So when all said and done, Doflamingo was defeated. He felt like a massive thrill, a massive rush of excitement. He'd never taken anything part in anything like that before, and he'd actually contributed and helped. It all started that he was kind of useless and couldn't do anything by himself, but here he proved himself. He was able to fight with some of the Straw Hats to reclaim Dressrosa alongside his fellow Tontada. And when all the battle was done, he didn't want to go back to their own land. He didn't really want to go back, because then he would just go back to being nothing, a useless person, a useless Tontada that didn't really do anything, didn't stand out, wasn't really exciting to anyone or anything. And he hated that. So he stayed behind in Dressrosa, hoping that after the aftermath, because of a lot of people who would arrive to Dressrosa after Luffy defeated Doflamingo, and he was hoping that maybe one of these other pirate crews would take him on. But a lot of them rejected him, be purely because they either didn't see him, they didn't hear him, or basically they just laughed at him, him being so tiny. And this is the first time they'd probably ever seen a Tontata. They thought he was pretty useless. It couldn't do anything. What's a tiny, like, minuscule little creature like you going to do? And just kind of laughed in his face. Until the Goldilock Pirates came. And they were the last pirate crew that he, like, had approached. And he said, pleaded with them, please take me with you. I'm craving adventure. I want to help. I'm a strong fighter. And purely the crew thought it'd be really funny to have him. Not that they thought he would be strong, or they severely underestimate him. But they took him on anyway, and he was ecstatic about it. A year into him joining the Goldilock Pirates, he had contributed quite a lot. He had actually fought a lot of Marines for them, fended off a lot of them, and using his new devil fruit, the Moku Moku no Mi. Now, if you guys have been paying attention to my shorts, you'd know that the Moku Moku no Mi is actually the build fruit, which allows him to create any kind of like structure he imagines, from stairs to walls to anything, and pillars. So he can use that to his great advantage, and him being so tiny makes him quite a prolific sneak attack. He also has his little spear here that he kept from actually Dressrosa. So the crew over time actually realized his potential and actually realized his helpfulness and actually really values him as a crew member. And he's like a really nice secret art, kind of like he's a secret like weapon, shall I say. And so he likes having like being this like little surprise attack of somebody attacking the crew and then getting absolutely smashed in the face with a pillar that seemingly comes out of nowhere, which I think is really interesting. So that's basically his backstory of basically being kidnapped as a slave and taken to Dressrosa, where he helped defeat the Doflamingo pirates, but was craving more adventure. None of the pirates that had arrived to Dressrosa after the aftermath wanted him on board until the Goldilock Pirates took a chance on him and realized he was extremely valuable. So that's pretty much his backstory. Not the most exciting, but it's actually quite interesting, him looking for a fulfilling purpose, and then somebody finally giving him a chance, and him actually showcasing his worth, and him eating actually quite an interesting devil fruit, I think. And there you have it. Here is the final design of Tweal, the Tiny Terror. I'm really happy with this final design. Like, I'm happy with it, but I feel like there's still something missing with it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I'm overcomplicating it and I'm overthinking it. I do tend to do that a lot. But regardless, here's the final design of Tweal. What do you think? Do you like the final design? Do you think there's anything missing? Do you think I could have added anything? What would you have done if you were making your own Tontata character? But yeah, that's the final design. So I hope you guys like it. That is the final member of the Goldilock Pirates. That is 10 members. But I'm not done with them yet. There's a lot of other stuff I really want to design for each of them. Or at least a couple of them. But yes. So if you did make it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. If you did like it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye!